Hello, my loves. I am Esther, aka Miss Manifesther, and welcome to the Manifesting Happiness podcast, where we talk all about consciously creating your best life. Today, I am joined by my gorgeous friend. I've just got the most gorgeous friends. I really, really do, in case you hadn't worked that out so far. Her name is Terri Lovell, and she's from the land down under. She is in Sydney. How are you doing, Terri?
I'm good, lovely. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Just to give That's how we talk in England. Terri is a Reiki Master, crystal healer, theta healer, and intuitive soul path reader, and she founded the Crystal Healing Temple in 2006. So, Terri, tell me how you first got into whether you want to call it your work or your spiritual journey. What led you here?
What led me? Oh, that's such a good question. And it does end up coming into a lot of my teachings because of the background of it. Being my grandmother was a Reiki master. She was into crystals, loved it, meditation, sacred geometry, all those amazing things. And then my other grandmother, she was also into crystals, but the fossicking of it. So I always had it in my life, but I don't think I really appreciate it until my Reiki grandma passed away. And it was literally like I feel she passed the baton on to me. And so, therefore, I've been on this amazing journey since way back then when she passed away, not realizing that once I learnt, intuitive reading, crystal healing, Reiki energy work, just how intuitive I already was, but I didn't really realize it until I learnt it. And so, once I began, I was off. I was off doing it, loving it, practicing as much as I could. I really called myself a Reiki nerd because I just, in every given moment, I'd spend my time reading and practicing and things. And at the time, I was a preschool teacher. So it was really the weekends and the evenings that I had to do it. And yeah, then I started my business and it's just been really wonderful. Quite the ride, quite the journey, but still really wonderful. And for me, it feels very multifaceted. It just keeps changing, and there's a new facet to every different level of yourself, level of what you bring through for others, but first of all, what you bring through for yourself. I don't know if that explains it very well, but yeah, I feel really blessed, really blessed.
I know we weren't going to talk, we weren't planning to talk about business today, but I think what you've said is about the way that it's changed. It's a ride, but I think we are meant to change and evolve, aren't we? So our businesses, if people are listening and they've got their own business, like you've also got permission to change your business as a reflection of where you're going. Because I think a lot of people just think, I don't know, it's almost like you set it up and it's done. And it's actually like, no, it will grow and evolve with you. And there may be times you take things away and add new things, and that's part of it. I think for a lot of people, though, that maybe I'm not saying they're not open to that, but I think for a lot of people, it feels like, am I failing in some way? Am I abandoning old parts of my business or whatever? And it's like, it's okay. It's okay to close doors and chapters on things that aren't aligned with you anymore. Um, it's like, I'm sure you probably understand this. It's like that you maybe when you first get into spirituality and you learn certain teachings, and then as time goes on, you're like, you know what, I probably wouldn't say that now. It was right then.
Yes,
It was right then, but it's not right for me now.
yes, yes. And we outgrow things. And I think that was a real surprise for me, like what you're saying. I was really surprised when I was like, this just doesn't light me up like it used to. It doesn't bring me as much joy. And then trusting to keep walking on the path that something else is going to really be your next flavor, and be able to support you and then support others. And it's that constant, well, it's that constant manifesting, and the soul loves expansion.
That's it. And also what you've just said there about you being finding your new flavor, but who that is also supposed to support. And maybe that is a whole new collective of people that you haven't even tapped into yet or connected with yet. And you're so right. The soul just loves expansion. I just want to ask, because I just love it. So your grandma that did Reiki, I take it she was Australian as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it
Yep.
that's I mean, to me that's quite unusual. I think at this point, like I've never really I don't think I've ever met anyone where they've said that their grandma was doing Reiki. Would you say culturally, like Australia's a little bit more open? Is there a lot more kind of um I don't know, yeah, spiritual openness, exploration there back culturally compared to maybe the Western world?
Well, I think what it was for her, when I reflect, is I think she had to go further afield, so to speak, like drive a lot further to go and be with those groups, for
Right.
meditation, for Reiki, for the sacred geometry work that she did.
Mm,
And so it wasn't everywhere. It was harder to find back then for her. And the accessibility for us now is just crazy.
mm,
It feels like it's everywhere.
mm. It does, yeah, it does feel like it's, well, we may feel like it's everywhere. And I'm sure there's probably some people who are like, sacred what now? But sacred geometry. But I think that's amazing that she was of that generation and that she actively went and sought that when it would have been so, it probably, yeah, inaccessible compared to now,
Yeah.
where like again comes back to the internet. Like you can train online, there's so many things, you can access so much knowledge and wisdom all over the world, and she would have had to really put herself out there to get that. So I just love that. So we're sending big love up to what
Yeah.
I was going to say grandma Lovell, but maybe
Yeah,
not.
no, it is. It's from my level.
Is it grandma Lovell? We love you, grandma Lovell. So let's talk about this. Um, what do you feel has been your greatest manifestation so far?
I feel my greatest manifestation so far would definitely be my daughter. To be able to bring her into my life, have her here physically in
Mm,
my life with me, is just so huge. And every bit of my dreams come true since I was so young. I used to ask my mum, please have a baby. I promise I'll look after it like it was a puppy. I was desperate for her to have a baby, but she never would. But I always had that real
mm,
maternal instinct. Um, and sadly, back in my late 30s, I was told just from a blood test I had that I was postmenopausal out of the blue. I didn't feel anything shift or change other than, well, the cycle had kind
mm,
of gone a little bit off, but I just thought that was due to stress. And so I thought that that avenue of my life was gone, and I had other doctors say, no, no, no. And so I pretty much had to grieve that part of me. I couldn't do that. And in that time of the grieving, I then focused my energy on my business. While focusing my energy on my business, I absolutely loved that. And my business got to become really wonderful and beautiful and big and multifaceted. And um, it became my baby. It
mm,
really became my baby. And I ended up doing a lot of heart work, heart connection, work for myself. I always do the work fully myself before I then share it or teach it with others. Um, and it was when I was doing my first Bali heart activation retreats that I take the students through a process. And as I took them through this process, and I'd ask a question to their heart, I quickly blipped in for myself I went, oh,
Mm.
I'm going to ask myself this question because I'm a bit undistracted here. My heart's going to be ready to share. And my heart said, take that dream off the shelf. Take your family dream off the shelf now. And it really shocked and surprised me because I thought, well, isn't that over, done?
Right.
And then it was from there that then everything just synchronistically fell into place for me in such an incredible way.
Makes me quite emotional, like listening to it, because I think there'll be so many people out there that have been told, like literally what you said, put that dream on the shelf. That's not going to happen for you. Science says otherwise. And I mean, this is where when people say like about persevere and ignore the 3D is like there's so much more that's possible than what you're being told or the narratives that you're taking on board or what you're seeing with your eyes. Um, like miracles happen. This like probably would be classed as like, a modern day miracle, right? Like if you've
Yeah.
been told it's not happening, that's incredible. So from the point that you received that, I guess, download through your heart, how long did it take, like in terms of for this to manifest?
Well, because I thought that shop shut within me, and for so many years I felt like a broken woman because
Right.
I couldn't fully do what women do. Um, I just really felt into it, felt I had so much love in my heart to give. And so therefore my mum and I went to Bernardo Foster meetings and interviews so I could become a foster parent. As I thought, if there's a child out there that needs love, I've got so much to give.
Mm.
And I also online filled out some paperwork and sent off some money to get sent an application for adoption. Now, adoption was going to take years, but I still did everything that I could. And um, one day I was out for coffee with my cousins, and one of them was a midwife. The other one I'm very close to, she's got 4 children herself. And we were just chatting about something. And then all of a sudden, I looked at my cousin and I said, would you? Meaning, would she have another child? And then she just looked at me and said, oh, I want to give you my eggs.
Oh my
That
gosh.
changed my whole life in that moment. And then my cousin, who was a midwife, said, well, you've got a uterus. And I'm like, what? So then everything changed. And I'm like, you're on. Okay, I'm going to discover everything I can about what I can do.
Right.
And so therefore, that day that they told me that the adoption papers turned up in the mail, I quickly shoved that in a drawer. Then it was, I think 5 days later, I left for one of my next Bali retreats,
Right.
just going, wow. And then on that Bali retreat, one of my dear friend's daughters reached out to me and she said, I heard your cousin might want to offer you her eggs. I don't want to step on any toes, but I want to offer you my eggs.
Oh my God.
So they came to me.
Wow.
That's the power of the heart, the attraction that I will do anything I can, universe, help me out here,
Mm.
was huge. And so therefore I was very blessed to be gifted eggs. When
I
I went
you
to the IVF doctor to get me checked, how are my levels going, da 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 da, they were perfect.
right.
You never want to hear the word normal. Who wants to be normal? But in a medical test, you want normal. You want to hear that you're normal. And I remember being so excited to hear I'm normal. My uterus is good to go. And I went through the process of a sperm donor, which was very, very huge. I could have had a known donor, but I just felt that they would want to maybe just feel responsible, and I didn't want anyone to feel responsible. So um, when I chose the sperm, I felt into my heart deeply for that. And straight away, tears welled up when I read their profile. So I knew that that was the right one. Yet felt it was the biggest responsibility. Um, and then I've been the luckiest woman in the world to have been able to have my beautiful daughter.
I can properly feel myself like welling up. I'm trying to keep it together. I'm like,
Oh,
it's not even 11 in the morning. I mean, at least it's not like 8 in the morning. Oh my God. That is just so incredibly beautiful. And honestly, Terri, I'm so happy for you. I think it's for me, it's very interesting, like that, you had that conversation, but then synchronistically as well, the adoption papers also showed up at the same time. And I think what I would see that as a reflection of is you being given multiple paths and timelines and saying, what's your choice? What do you want to do here? And I think obviously you just knew, didn't you? You were like, I know which one I want to go for. But I actually think, yeah, you know what? Sperm donors, I think, wow, what an incredible gift to give somebody.
and
Um,
do you know exactly what you're saying is so true, because that's what they wrote on their forms. Why are you doing this? Because I want to give someone the opportunity to have a family.
yeah,
And so many of them read like that. And so, I mean, others also read that they knew someone that had difficulties, so that, they want to help others because of that. Like, you could tell that they came from such a loving, generous soul, which was so beautiful.
I think anybody who's willing to surrogate, willing to give
Yeah,
eggs, willing to give sperm, and uh, you are literally giving the half of the gift of life, and you're giving,
absolutely.
like exactly what you've said, somebody like yourself the opportunity to have a family. And I do also completely understand, like you said, about the responsibility aspect, but sometimes it is okay to just say, do you know what, I don't need a complicated co-parenting arrangement. If you know that
Mm,
you can provide,
mm,
you know what's right for you, don't you? Like, I think anybody who's listening to this, if they're thinking about going on a journey and they're like, actually, I know somebody who wants to be the sperm donor and I'm happy with that, that's equally fine. It's like, yeah, everybody gets to decide, don't they? Like, what is their own setup and what's their own truth and values and what do you want? Um, that's just incredible. And I think, so from what, like, only if you don't mind me asking, like, what was the point, like, from the point of, say, when you were 39 to the point that you had Tilly, what was the timeline gap?
So, I gave birth to her 2 days before my 50th.
Wow, it's incredible.
So it was 10 years.
Yeah,
10 years.
I think a lot of people want, and I understand why, they want instant manifestations, don't they?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
who doesn't want an instant breakthrough? Like, who, because at the end of the day, it's just like, oh my gosh, great, my dreams have come true, relief, don't have to stress about that anymore, and so on and so forth. But I think what this is to me is I believe it's a testament to divine timing, because I think you and I both believe in divine timing. I know some people
Absolutely.
don't believe in it. I actually do. And I think that actually the fact that you had her just before your 50th, even just to me, it just adds to the narrative defying ness of all of this, in the sense of, people, the longer you go on, it's going to be harder, it's not going to happen. And actually it's just a little bit of a, like, an even bigger middle finger, that it's like, it wasn't like you were 40. um
Yeah.
it just defies the odds and just makes it even more incredible. Oh my goodness. I hope anybody listening to this who is wanting to have a child, like, maybe takes inspiration from this, that this is possible for them. And again, it is in that plethora of ways, isn't it? There are some people that go on to adopt, and again, still that's
Yeah.
the right
And
thing.
And every night, once I really knew, right, I'm on board with having a child,
Mm,
not sure whether it was going to be through foster care, adoption. I didn't even think it would be coming through my own body vessel.
sure.
That was the last thought. But every night I put my arms out to the stars and just said, oh, like, baby soul, little 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 8-year-old, whoever you are, wherever you are, I'm ready. I'm your mama. I'm here. Whenever you're ready, I'm here. And so I would send that message up to the universe
Mm,
every single night, because what if they were 5 years old and were an hour and a half drive away? I would still want them to feel that signal of love and say, my mum is waiting for me.
mm.
And so I really had to surrender how. And then, when you hear, and I know you've said it so many times because of your beautiful business that you have and the woman that you are, it's going to work out even better than you could have ever dreamed of.
Yeah.
And
I'm like,
I make you laugh. I was even so proud of my 50-year-old boobs breastfeeding. I would congratulate my breasts every day. You're doing so well. Good on you. I just gave so much love to my body and
like,
gratitude, you know. And with that, of course, I laughed and had fun, but still I'm like, good on you, 50-year-old bosoms.
we love your 50-year-old titties. You, is this crazy when I say this? It's like, you've been around half a century. You're doing good. Um, Honestly, I'm choking up over here. It's making it hard for me to be like, oh my God, I don't know what to say. Because if I open my mouth too much on a tangent, I'll just start sobbing. I'm just really feeling it. I think even what you said then about like giving thanks for your boobs is just so beautiful, because I think, having given birth myself and thinking about how my boobs were like after I had my daughter, like I'm loving that we're talking like this. My boobs were great. Like, they were like nips to the sky. They were the best boobs. And then, like, when I had her, I think I breastfed for about 3 weeks, and then they just turned into these, like, I describe them as like crepe paper, like, like a flaccid balloon that's gone down from like a party, and no one's
Yeah.
popped it, but it's like the air somehow kind of got out a little bit, and then it's just this like crinkly thing. That's what they were like. And I was just like, wow, like, I was not happy about it. And I think it is. I think as women, we're under a lot of pressure anyway to look a certain way, and
Yeah.
what our beauty standards are. But I think in that process, we can be incredibly tough on ourselves, and not acknowledging actually the, again, miraculous nature that we are literally a portal, a vessel to divine life. And it's just like, who cares if you've got a bit of a crinkly tit or some stretch marks? But it's I get it. Like, women's confidence and feeling good in your body is important, but I think it can. I definitely think there could be a grieving process in what
Yeah.
what birth does to the body. So I just love that you were able to be in such a position of gratitude and abundance
Yeah.
for your body and what it was doing for you and for your daughter at the end of the day.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I really made sure I kept my pregnancy
Mm,
very, very sacred.
you
I
did.
only told my nearest and dearest. I kept it so sacred because it was
Mm,
so incredibly sacred. But I didn't need anyone else's opinions. And it was such a precious journey to go on. And so that's okay. Like, if anyone feels that they should tell everyone what they're doing when they're doing it, no, you don't have to. I have people contact me, like ex-boyfriends' mothers. You didn't tell me you were pregnant. I'm going, no, I didn't.
No, because it's none of
Because
your business.
that's right. And, everyone was so happy for me after that they didn't need, a lot of them, in the end didn't even ask.
No.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing though, isn't it? To me, that's a sign of not, I don't know, like true friendship. That's an interesting phrase, but that's what's come to my mind anyway. It's like you don't need to know the how. The same as in the manifesting process. It's like, do you need to know the ins and outs of how this came to be? No. If as long as you've got the result, you're happy, everyone's happy, that's all that matters. And I think what you said about you surrendered the how, exactly what you
Yeah.
said, like that applies across all manifestations. Like you have your intention, you have to feel into that energetic space and knowing that it's going to happen, but how it gets delivered is that's none of our business either. And it can be 100% better than expected, because I think everybody thinks, with manifesting, okay, about thoughts create things, and it's like, yes they do, but actually you can receive your manifestation beyond what your thoughts can even comprehend, but beyond even what the visualization could come up with. And
Yes.
I guess, I mean, this is really more of a question to you. Do you feel like because you knew that foster and adoption was almost like on the table, it helped you relax and maybe opened up like that opportunity for you to give birth like naturally?
I think
Yeah.
once I found out, this doctor said to my cousin, who was the midwife, said to her, I know the formula. I could get my 82-year-old mother pregnant. Once I heard that, I'm like, right, universe, you're on. We're doing
Yes.
this. And I'm
Yes.
going to put every bit into it. And
Mm,
if it doesn't work, at least I've tried. And
mm.
so once I heard that, I think foster and adoption that went on the shelf.
I hear you. I hear you. I think I was asking that because I know that for some people they relax, like when they know that
Yes.
there is almost like a path, and they chill out a little bit, and then actually like another path opens up alongside that because they've relaxed. But I think that's just a testament to solutions can come from all sorts of places, and the solution can be well beyond what you imagined. I mean, like, let's face it, that's not a statement you hear every day. I've got the formula to get my 82-year-old mother pregnant. I'm just going to say sorry to everyone who's listening if you can hear all the road noise that's going on outside today. Is absolutely diabolical out there. So let's talk about the heart work aspect.
Yes.
This could be a really difficult question, because like it could be like, oh my god, like I could write a book on it. How long is a piece of string? What does the heart work kind of entail? What does it kind of look like in practice?
The heart work that I do for my students on retreats and in my courses it's my biggest intention to take them from their head and drop them into their heart, getting them to, do some practices and techniques to get them into their heart, to learn how to be there, to breathe there, to connect in there and hear their own heart's messages, to feel their own heart's love and connection through their whole body. And they'll find that so much shifts in that space, even if it's just for half an hour. So much can shift. And it's so beautiful, and it's accessible to all of us. It's so accessible. And I think I like to teach it also as with two muscles, the mind muscle and the heart muscle. And we've been taught to be really clued on, switched on in our mind, to think about everything, not to feel into something. How does that feel to your heart? What does your heart feel about that? And so it's really about strengthening and allowing that heart muscle to become bigger and bigger so that then the heart and mind muscle can be equal, not one necessarily bigger and overtaking, bombarding the other.
I think, I think a lot of people do know about the power of the heart and its own electromagnetic field. I think, is it the like Heart Math Institute? Have you done any kind of work or research on them? I think if anyone hasn't, have a look into them. But it really talks about the power and the magnetism of the heart, and like you said about what activated within you, particularly around the manifesting your daughter. I know when we do EFT tapping, I think it's your third finger. Can't even say finger today. Your third finger, the meridian links to the heart. So when you're tapping, that's why you need to use that finger, because there is also a heart healing, the heart memory. You're working on that when you're doing your tapping. And I think your heart really knows the truth
Absolutely.
at a higher
Yeah.
self level.
Yeah. And your heart will never lead you down the wrong path.
Mm.
The mind thinks it knows best, but the heart knows the truth.
Mm.
And it does. And so another way to describe it, connecting into what you've just said about like the heart's electromagnetic grid, the heart has an aura. And then the heart has a grid. You're so right. And so you can actually feel someone's heart energy kilometers away.
Mm.
So for the pulsations, if you see the grid like it's alive, that live grid, and then connected up to the cosmic heart grid, that is so powerful. And it's so powerful in a way that it is amplifying. It's going to really, really amplify your heart's light, your heart's intentions, your heart's love.
It's interesting because I think it's about, do you feel like for a lot of people, like particularly when you're doing the work with them, do they drop quite easily into that heart space? Do you feel like they need to really quiet the mind?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And in that quietening of the mind process, it's just got to be gentle because it's used to being so on. And for so many people, it's got so much to do with work, with family, with home. So we've got to go about it really gently. And I kind of like to say to them, let's give your mind a pina colada. Off you go. Go sit on a day bed, sun lounge with a pina colada. Just have some quiet. Okay, now it's the heart's turn. And it's almost like let's give the mind permission to have a holiday.
That's what I think a lot of people struggle with in terms of, I guess is with manifesting and being able to like stay focused on their manifestation, because the mind is so busy, and all the thoughts that come in make people just like, I don't know, flip flop. They give a little bit too much truth to all the thoughts that, aren't really serving them. And I think if more people just dropped into the heart rather
Yeah.
than, I think it's an up top battle.
Yeah. And if you think about it, we're in such a fast-paced world, the mind wants things to even go faster.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing when I was manifesting Tilly and manifesting the pregnancy, I would notice things would pause and stop when I was in my head. And then I'd go, oh, I see what's happening here. I'd get into my heart. And before I knew it, the phone had ring, the email had come through. Everything would fall into place. I played with it in the end, going, wow, you
Yeah.
can't not know that after you've done, like, it was just so incredible. It blew me away.
That's so interesting. I love that you played with it though, because I think
I
that's the
did.
thing that's one of the best energies for manifesting is to just be like, I'm not doing this to force an outcome. I'm doing it because I want to be playful and see how powerful I am. It's interesting because I saw a video the other day and it was a oh God, what do they I don't know, like a not like a speech therapist or something like that, but it's somebody that helps work on like your, elocution maybe. And it was like the guy who worked with Princess Diana, and he had a very, very, very traditional British kind of voice. But he was talking about the voice and talking about how um most people are like up here and it's all like all the time. And he was like, but notice like how when you drop into kind of almost like, I guess it's like your authenticity and the truth of your being, like the voice comes lower.
Mm.
And I don't know why, it's just made me think about that. Like that maybe when you are in your heart space and your truth and your kind of conviction and authenticity, that the voice drops lower rather than you're kind of when you're talking up here, it's because you're all up in your head in your ego.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be thinking
Yeah.
about that.
Makes so
Got a
much sense.
low voice.
Well, it's interesting because then you've got to drop into it.
Mm, mm,
And in order to drop into it, you've got to pause
mm.
to get there.
Which comes to me in terms of the let go and surrender piece is that you've got to be willing to stop, not just allow the universe to work, but stop to listen to yourself. The way I often think about it is when, I mean, obviously, I've not been very well recently. And I don't think I was particularly being overly busy or like chatter of my mind. I really don't think I was. But there's still a part of me that felt like the universe was saying, sit down, listen, slow, stop. This happens to me a lot. Like when I'm thinking about what I think is right and what I think would be best, the universe will go, stop. It'll put me on my butt. And I'm like, oh, well, I thought it was a great idea. And it just kind of empties me out, makes everything a blank canvas. And then a new opportunity will come in. And it's like, oh, oh, right. Okay. So maybe my idea wasn't actually, spirit's idea. And I think of it a lot as most people are. I call it blue bottle fly mode. It's like when you get a fly that comes in your house and goes and it's just like banging into the windows. It's so fucking busy that it can't find its way out. And
Yes.
that's how I think of it a lot of the time. Like the universe is trying to communicate to you. It's trying to like give you signs and speak to you, and you're so busy all the time that sometimes I do think it will like put you on your butt. I saw somebody yesterday and she'd broken her toe, and she said, I think it was spirit trying to get me to slow down because I just think they need to get a word in edgeways with you sometimes. But it's when we get too into masculine mode, I think, and
Yes.
not receptive enough, um, not receiving enough, and it's like, okay, I can't do this. Like I'm gonna have to put you on your bum so that you can receive. Um, I find that time and time again. But yeah, exactly that is that what you said about you need to pause to be able to get into your heart space. I think a lot of people don't feel safe to pause. It's like
Right.
if I'm pausing, I'm not being productive, or I'm not doing anything, and or I'm lazy, or it's not safe because then it's almost like if I don't do if I know a lot of people who are like, I guess it's a bit like manic manifesting where they're like, if I'm not doing something, nothing's going to happen. They can't possibly believe that they could magnetize anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And then some people might fear, but if I go into my heart,
Mm,
there might be something emotionally big in there
yeah.
and they might not want to look. But
Mm,
really, that big thing or that thing that's in their heart could be the key that they're waiting for or the
yeah.
key that they need.
Yeah. It's your breakthrough, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I always, yeah, I mean, I always say like, you know, usually like a breakthrough comes from a breakdown, something like that. So it is kind of being willing to drop in and know that there's something amazing there to alchemize. I think it's
Yeah.
the thing as well of being able to drop in and try to drop in and observe rather than identify or relate too much, because
Yes.
it's not, that pain is like something that's been, I feel, more given to us than an actual truth. But I think so many people just like they get swallowed up in that shadow, don't they? I think it's being able to go in and know how to hold space for yourself so
That's
that
right.
you can do it. The dog is trying to jump across from one chair to another. It's not safe, little man. He needs his claws cut so bad. You're joking.
Oh,
Such a goober. Um, have you got any kind of parting words that you would like to leave our listeners with, Terri? Especially if they're curious about, I guess, your approach with, um, you could call it heart-led manifestation, but I would just call it like heart, like you call it heart connection, heart magnetism. Like, where could they start? How can they work with you?
well, another thing that I feel is really important piece to put in, because it wasn't just about getting the messages and then receiving incredible support from friends and a donor and the IVF team and so on, but I really also needed to let go of limiting beliefs. So I did a lot of mental and emotional work to reprogram
Mm,
my subconscious to believe that I could. And then the signs all around me, every corner, there was a pregnant woman. So the universe was saying, keep going, keep going.
mm,
So there was so much involved in it to really align with it and make it possible.
yeah,
So um, I actually followed quite vigilantly this process, and because it was so powerful for me, I then created a 7 week program in it, and I now take other people through it. Now, that's not to say it's for having a baby, but it is
yeah.
about stepping into your best self to clear the old and to really pave a new way mentally, emotionally, physically, and definitely spiritually. Connecting into that higher self was everything as well.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like you've been on this journey, you've used this process to have a baby, against the narrative, and that's incredible. But of course, I'm sure you probably feel there's so many other benefits to the work that you've done. It's not just that, like the ripple effects of doing the inner work are across the board, right? But
Oh,
obviously, like you said, anybody could go on this and use this work, I think, to manifest absolutely anything they want. But what you said about the limiting beliefs is right, because I guess it's like, if you it's like that we were talking about it, weren't we? Like the heart knows the truth, but the mind is very busy. I think the more you can get your beliefs and your subconscious mind in line, actually, the more less likely you are to have all of those kind of flippy floppy doubting thoughts coming through your head. It allows you to stay a lot more in that truth. um
yes.
they do go hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And another thing, I just visualize myself with a really big belly, a really healthy baby, really big tummy, seeing her, visualizing her when she was 5 years old playing, so I
Oh,
really took myself into all areas, not just one. And I think that's also quite a key. Keep it really varied but real.
yeah, because it's not just about like, I think when you think about living in the end, like living in the end could look like, is it getting a positive pregnancy test? Like, I've done it. Is it the birth? Is it, her 18th birthday? Like, it's
Yeah.
all of that, because that's all within her. That's all within you. So there's so many aspects, isn't there, to that like end result in the face on the basis that of linear time. There's all these different versions of her that you're going to get to experience, that you can connect to and visualize, which is incredible. And the fact you saw all those pregnant women, I think it just touches on that little manifesting thing of, if you're seeing people with the thing that you've got, it's a sign it's coming into your reality as well. And having to hold that and not see it as, oh, why have they got that and I don't? Because that's coming from that, that lack of trust, all of that. No, Bodhi, I don't want a kiss. Not in the middle of this. Not in the middle of this podcast. No. If anyone who's watched the video, he's so bossy. You see his little. You can't see his little eyes, Terri. He's like,
It's the
"Ah."
energy. You see, feel the energy.
But
Oh,
you're not.
such a cutie.
Well, you's just like, love me 24/7. Yeah. So guys, you see somebody with what you've got, like, this is a moment to actually put your hands up and go, yes, like this is coming up for me as well. It's not like life's rubbing it in my face that I don't have
Yeah,
it. It's all about
absolutely.
the lens of perception that you look through, and is it lack or is it abundance? So Terri, how can people find you? How can they connect with you?
You can definitely find me on my website, which is thecrystalhealingtemple.com.au, on Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions, happy to, guide where I can. If anyone does have any questions about what we've discussed, it is a topic that is very dear to my heart.
And you're so passionate about it. And I think again, it's just like, even though, this is where I'm going to end it, even though you were being told baby's not on the cards, you didn't let that put you on hold in general. You said, okay,
Mm.
I'm going to channel where I have got passion and love and energy. This is where Abraham Hicks talks about the sticks, and she's like, put don't just keep focusing on this one stick and going, I wish this would happen. Pick up the other sticks that feel lighter and brighter, and you release blocks in the other area. So it's like you followed your passion, and funnily enough, that led you to the heart work, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. So it's just like, yeah, you know what, if you're getting kind of blocked by the 3D in one area, like, shift your focus away from what isn't and put it to what else is calling you and feeling passionate about, and doors will open across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Terri, it has been so amazing having you on. I appreciate you so much. I hope it's not too late there in Sydney.
No, it's 10 past 9 at
Oh,
night.
that's all right.
So fine. Esther, thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Thank
What an
you for
honor,
being
what a
here.
blessing. Thank
I
you, lovely.
I appreciate you so much. Guys, please do go and connect with Terri, especially if her work is calling to you, if this story resonated with you and it's giving you some hope. I will put all of Terri's links in the podcast description so that you can find her nice and easy. And we are sending you all blessings, and we'll catch you in a couple of weeks for another episode. Take care, guys.